Hello, welcome to Axiom Flux, Season 4, Episode 1, 12th of November 2017. I'm PJ, I've got Stav, Dave Witcher, and Tower C. Harvey with me tonight. We're going to be discussing how to be a fascist in 5 easy steps.
Let me read this out then. If we're going to be covering the fascist and how to be a fascist. So an article from a website.
Can we do how to be a communist next week?
Well, let's see how far we get with this, because this might this surprisingly stuff. This possibly could interest you. But we'll see how it goes. I'll just read it out then. It says fascism, from the Latin word fascis, is an oft misunderstood ideology equated with war and violent tyranny. Both the modern day left and right wings use it as a buzzword for anything that they consider to be threatening, be it increased state authority or socialised medicine. Fascism, in some ways, is quite a visionary ideology, but is also quite traditionalist, built around the principles of nationalism, authoritarianism, and mass action. As a totalitarian ideology, it embraces the state as an organic and all-encompassing entity and demands the mass mobilisation of the populace to actively participate in the running of their state. It's got 5 points to this. So number 1 is read upon the writings of fascist authors and of those who inspired them. List a few names. Enrico Corradini, Julius Evola, and Cornelio Codriano are all excellent sources on fascist, proto-fascist ideology. Among the more philosophic roots of fascism are rejection of decadence and materialism, and the value of action over compromise. Fascism views life as a constant struggle, and so to be a fascist is to be a human of strength and willpower. Number 2. Read up on your own country's history. To apply fascism, one must have a spirit of nationalism, valuing the legacy of your country's people, and putting their interests before yourself and before the rest of the world. Take pride in your ancestors' accomplishments, and strive to do good in their name, and uphold your country's noblest traditions. Action begins at the local level, so find opportunities to volunteer around town. In fascism, what is good for the community is good for the people and the state. Number 3, understand how fascism differs from both modern left-wing and right-wing thought. Fascism rejects electoral democracy because it sees democracy as simply enabling politicians to lie to the people to get in power, and thus the leaders do not truly represent the people. Instead, fascism believes in putting together a system where those fit to rule ensure that power stays in the right hands, and so power is passed through a dynastic and oligarchic system. Understand that in a fascist country, you will not always get to vote for your leader, but your voice can still be heard in public forum meetings or referendums, for example. And number 4 is understand the economics of fascism. Fascism rejects capitalism on the grounds that it is too individualistic and that wealthy corporations will abuse their power, such as underpaying workers or outsourcing jobs. However, fascism also rejects communism on the grounds that it does away with private property and thus the incentive to work completely. As well as promoting the notion of class warfare, instead of class warfare, fascism believes in class collaboration. The different classes must all work together to help strengthen their community and their state. Fascism advocates a mixed economy where people can own property and open their own businesses. But major corporations must always be answerable to the will of the state and must always serve the common good of the people. And number 5, last one. Understand how fascism views war. In fascism, war is not always promoted, but it is seen as something that can't always be avoided. Fascism views war as acceptable in defence, but also as a valid option for securing natural resources and land for the good of the people. Fascism sees war as an opportunity for the people to mobilise around a common goal and achieve victory, and so a strong military is always a must. So there's a few points from this article on fascism, and as I'm reading it, it does sound like me, but I never thought of myself to be a fascist, ever. But there were a few points in there that I could sort of relate to. Don't know about yourselves. Any thoughts?
Well, I think it was number 2 for me. Yeah.
Well, no more history one with that tower, yeah. Number 2,
Yeah, right.
read up on your own
Yeah.
country's history, yeah, to apply fascism.
I thought you was talking about England then for a second.
Well, that's exactly what it sounds like to me.
Is that not what we're living in? I mean, Benito Mussolini said, before they took him out in the street and hung him and kicked him down the street, he said that fascism is when the government and the corporations and the industry come together. And that's pretty much where we are today in this country.
Valuing the legacy of your country's people and putting their interests before yourself. Imagine that in England in 2017.
Well, that aspect of it isn't happening. I mean, fascism, I see, if you live in this country, you was born here, if you're in any situation where a group of men with weapons can come to your home, take your kids, take your cars, take your homes off you and leave you destitute, I class that as fascism.
Well, according to this article, that'd be a good description, good definition of it. Yeah.
Oh, we're in it, all right. We're in it, all right. But it's a mild form at the moment. It's not a hardcore, flat out Ron Jeremy hard porn version at the moment. We're at the soft porn stage. We're doing the Ann Summer stuff and the what was that other book? We're Mills and Boon. We're at the Mills and Boon stage of it. But
well, we are, but EU's not. They're quite ahead, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. You forget one thing. That fascism isn't, according to that article, fascism isn't a democracy.
No, they don't like democracies, no.
Exactly. So, but what people think that what a democracy is. So you can't possibly have fascism, can you?
No, I'm not too keen on a democracy, though.
Oh no, I'm not saying either. I mean, they're all ideologies. These things are all ideologies. I'm just saying, if people say we've got a fascist dictatorship, well, they don't agree with democracy. You can't have democracy in fascism.
Can't we have like an ideology that puts a ban on any other ideology? And see how far we get with that.
I don't know any solutions, but I'll leave that for the great thinkers out there. But it's just that in that article you read, fascism doesn't have democracy.
No, it don't know. But it's not too keen on communism either. He don't like capitalism because of greed. It's like I don't get it. Fascism. It's like, what does it solve though? I know it's like in between capitalism and communism, but what does it actually solve? Where does it actually get you? I'm struggling to see how a fascist society could work, even though we're in it.
Well, if you had a fascist society, some people would say you've got an unelected dictatorship, which would be the EU.
Yeah, exactly. And fascism ultimately ends up in death and destruction.
Well, so does democracy. So does democracy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah. As Ollie Connolly says, plutocracy.
Yeah.
He's funny, isn't he?
Very funny guy. But then you see, on the other hand, if you reverse it the other one, which maybe next week you can discuss communism. You can either have corporate state merging, but state has the upper hand, or you can have state and corporate merging, and the corporate has the upper hand. Which is communism? Which is fascism?
I don't have the upper hand because if you drive a 36 and a 30, you get a letter through the post.
So
and the state alleges to be a victim because there's a victim surcharge, and the victim is the state. How can the state which is on paper, doesn't exist, be a victim. We are living in oxymoronic times, and the people bolster that by going along with it. They should say,
well, Dave, you're describing a communistic state now.
well, we're in
You can't get away from it. You can't get away from them, either or either. It's the same body, same thing.
Yeah, I don't like anything with an ISM on the end. I think it's really dangerous. Liberalism, nationalism, socialism, fuck that, you can keep them words. I don't want no part of it. I like liberty and freedom. Was I watching that Swiss thing earlier? This guy at the end of the video, he turned around and said, the price of freedom, he said, is the ability to defend yourself. He said, from anyone that wants to come tyrannously through your front door. He said, and in this case, he said, that has always been guns. My phone's going. I'll just drop out a sec. I'll go on mute.
No worries.
Well, staying on topic about the fascism article you just read, PJ, that's pretty much sums it up. There's a few little bits and pieces in there that people have smoothed over or never knew or forgotten about fascism. Or, they never perhaps didn't even know it existed.
Well, Tower makes a good point. We number 2, where it says, read up on your own country's history. To apply fascism, one must have a spirit of nationalism. And it goes into like valuing the legacy of country's people, putting their interests before yourself and before the rest of the world. Take pride in your ancestors' accomplishments.
Well, you could actually say in that respect.
Well,
if you know the history of common law, if you know the history of common law, right, what's usurped into statutory legislation now, which they call law. If you know the history of common law and how it came about, you could actually say that was a fascist idealism.
Maybe, yeah. When you look at the build-up to Adolf Hitler, who's like pretty much the most notorious fascist this world's ever seen. When you look at his rise, how he did it, how he got into his parliament, and how he joined different things to get where he wanted to go, he was very clever because he actually took a lesser job to get where he wanted to go. He was very clever, very good at the strategy side of working that. But you're right in what you're saying, because in the height before he started the war and he'd got his machine together, his people were a very proud people. They all come together for unity. They took all the crosses down in the churches. And the way he got into Austria was unbelievable. Austria voted for him. He didn't walk in there. They voted him in through the democratic process. Germany was uber. To be a young woman or a young man growing up in Germany when Hitler was in power was uber. He had it properly sussed. So it was only at the outbreak of war, which we declared on him, that things started getting messy and ugly for Adolf. But what I'm saying is, what you're saying is the pride and nationalism or whatever it is in their people, that's an ideal assumption of your version of what you're saying fascism is. That they were a very proud people before the outbreak of war, mate, let me tell you.
Well, you've got to look at, like you say, you know the history of Germany, you know how the collapse of the Weimar happened. We all know about the Treaty of Versailles. We all know about the crippling reparation charges and how the Jewish bankers, the Bolshevik bankers, moved into Berlin and turned it into a burlesque club, basically. So if anybody knows their history about that, it's quite easy to understand if a man comes along, whether it's his idea or he's just put up there by somebody else, who makes people work that 10% more, gets paid from a state issued mark which didn't belong to the Bolshevik banks, let's be honest about it, and the Jewry, the American Jewry, and the rest of it. When they got paid for doing their work and they could spend their money in their country and it didn't go to offshore havens for corrupt bankers and all the rest, it's quite easy.
Exactly.
Quite easy to see why they got behind it, you know?
Yeah.
You were talking about Switzerland today, Dave. I was going to message you, but I forgot. Have you ever watched any of Sean Ross's YouTube videos?
Is that the link you sent me?
I'll send you a link. Have you heard of Sean Ross?
I did watch a bit of a link earlier about a Swedish guy that has had sort of all things going on with him, and was talking on all of
Right, I'll get you a link then.
Switzerland, the situation going on with him and the death threat.
Yeah. It sounds.
Interesting. I personally think that your description of fascism is probably not where we are at then, because there's certainly no pride in the country of these people anymore. We had an 82-year-old ex-serviceman today die out in the streets. Been turfed out in his flat. He's living rough on the street. They're dead.
You're
That's not
joking.
pride in the people, is it?
No.
They're dead.
No, that weren't my description of fascism. It's just from this article that I found. And I was quite stumped by it, actually, because I thought I never looked at it in this way, and I thought, well, there's a few things I picked out on it. Were kind of interesting.
Well, these people, these Germans,
So, oh, confused me. I'm confused. Still am.
Well, listen, if you take the German National Socialism as fascism, like that guy saying, these people, German people, they had the best studios, best cinemas, best galleries. Berlin was, was probably the best city in the world in its day, and you had these educated, very intelligent place called the Germans. Now, I think it's stupid to follow a guy along because he's a nut and he wants you to kill people. It just doesn't stand up.
Exactly.
History never stand up.
We were the catalyst of war.
Yes.
Yeah, we were the catalyst of the war because the Americans and the English was watching Hitler very closely, and they thought, "Hang on a minute, he would have achieved it. He would have." And I've watched a lot of stuff on that.
Did you watch?
But I see that he was trying to free the world.
Yeah, I watched it, and there was a few misnomers in every big long documentary. But I suppose you watched The Greatest Story Ever Told, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ever told. Never told. So the greatest story never told. That's it. Well,
About 5 hours spot.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple of times.
It throws a lot of spanners in the work.
Yeah, it is good, that, yeah. I'll send you that link there, Dave. It's on chat box.
Thanks, Matt.
So, So, it's to a lot of people what you read tonight, PJ. People say, well, that doesn't sound too bad an idealism.
No, I always had this this sort of idea in my head of what fascism were, and never thought it were anything to what I do now. It's completely changed. I can't even understand whether it's Trump who's changed it or what. I don't know who's changed my mind on it, but something's.
Donald's going after some big people. I hope he survives.
Well, the thing I can say on it is, I'll admit, I must be a fascist.
That's what I thought. I thought, wait a minute, is he talking about me here? I don't like capitalism and I don't like communism, but you tell me somebody who's thought of something of in between, so it must be fascism then. That must be the way forward.
Well, I'm proud to say, for them. At the end of the day, we're doing what government aren't doing. I'm proud of it. Out there, people find that weird.
And what's the other one, Stav? Social capitalist or something? Or that was it. And anarchy. Oh, anarchy. Capitalist or something.
Anarchy seems to be more of an into communism.
No, but they joined two words together. What didn't were an oxymoron? It didn't really make sense. You couldn't really put these two words together, but they did, and they give it a term.
Fascist communism. I don't know. It could be anything, but it ain't make sense because they all kind of come back to the same thing, but they all get twisted. They all get twisted around the original
ideas.
For a reason. Yes.
For a reason. To keep us lot going round in circles, never getting anywhere.
That's it.
Divide and conquer. It's a great thing.
So all they have to do is start a circular argument, and they've won.
That's right, yeah, mate. Proper. Because the English, the ego gets in the way, and we've all got to try and get to the bottom of it. We're our own worst enemy at the best of time. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just looking up the definition of fascism myself. I might become one.
I don't know what it is.
Says, my
No
first
idea.
Hang on, Dave. To throw a spanner in the works. Today's youngsters who call themselves socialists dress up in black. They cover their faces with scarves, and they go around banging sticks in groups and say that the other side is fascist. And are these confused or what? You know?
I might change my middle name to Adolf. It's funny that after the war, no one ever called their kids Adolf. And his sister, what's the documentary on his sister? She scooched off to.
I've seen that one. I've seen that one with his nephew.
She got out of it because she had to. Yeah, I did see the one with his nephew. What, the one that went to America?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah, he changed his name and everything. Yeah.
Because he was a pain in the arse. Hitler absolutely hated him because his nephew was riding off the gravy train of I'm a Hitler, and everyone was bowing down to him. But ultimately, in the end, he went out to America, and when he arrived in New York, he'd done a little televised thing saying that Hitler was a loony and it wouldn't last. It says here, it says, fascism is a way of ruling that advocates total control of the people. Fascism comes from the Latin fascio, meaning bundle, of political group. In fascism, the people are looked at as a bundle, which we are looked at like that now. One body that must be controlled by the government with absolute force. What's the police called now? What's the police called? No, Stav, it's not communism. This is fascism.
Given an ultimatum without choice, Dave. What would you say about that?
He's missing with the isms. Giving me yellow card. Yeah, so I think Freddie Starr had the right idea when the way he used to dress up on stage with a swastika and go out and tell all them jokes. I mean, I might get some of that. Yeah, fascism sounds like the way to go.
Don't forget the gum boots today.
I'd only wear them in the bedroom, Stan. I wouldn't wear them out because of the polishing. They must take ages to polish. Right, so liberalism, transgenderism. Oh, it's all fucked up beyond all recognition, and I can't handle it.
What were ever
Long brain, it's very simple.
What were ever wrong with humanism?
What do you go? No, it's got an ism. No, just being yourself. That's what I'm on about.
Oh yeah, obviously, but you try and get masses of people to work that one out overnight.
You know where all this stems from? If we look at we look at humans as a species. We are the only mammals born that can't fend for themselves when we're born, right? If no one touches us, we die. A dog, a cat, a deer, a buffalo, anything, automatically he's on his feet, he's out. He has to fend for himself. But we can't do that. So, because we've got that vulnerability, and we've always been better off hacking together, learning off one another, helping each other out, move boulders, do this, do that. This ideology of we have to all stick together is an inherent ideology. But sometimes I think it works towards our detriment because we're all told we're all in this together, we've all got to stick together, but we're all being shagged together. And at some point, someone's got to be brave enough to say, I'm not enjoying this gig, I've got to get off this ride, man. And we are. We're certainly heading down that road. I can't wait.
Well, individuality, I wouldn't put an ism on it.
No, well, I am an individual. I'm all about liberty, freedom of expression. You know, I'm a creation of the divine, whatever you want to call it. We all are. I'm not a creation of government. I'm not. It's
And
God,
I think
man.
it's the crazy thing, though. We're the only species on the earth, right, that cannot survive from
Without
something
shoes.
That's made out of nothing.
That's right.
Money.
Well, that's another. That is. But that's. I mean, money's been. To be honest with you, it's not always been our nemesis. It should never be used as that's, if you want to say that we live in the fascist state now, that's the weapon that's used against us. It's the banking system. If you cut the head off the banking system, which to me is a fascist organisation or a communist or whatever you want to call it, however you want to define it, if you chop the head off that now, come to terms and say, right, actually, we're a decent group of people. We're going to do right by humanity. We're not going to keep them in slavery and servitude anymore. We're going to issue them debt-free money. Mate, this country, and I've said this to so many people, you just wouldn't look back. We would be Uber. We would be as Hitler's people would be before the outbreak of war. All the lights on in all the town centres, all the men and women having dances, big pints of beer, having it right on. And that's what he achieved. He did achieve that. And
that's what he invented. That's what he brought to the people. It was desperate money. That's what he brought.
He did. So we need to do that here. And I think that's coming in now. I think the Bank of England is being seen for it. We can see through it now. We're questioning it. My mate did a video. He phoned him up and he said, what backs your money? What backs your currency? I said, well, government issued debt. Well, when you've got a government dictating what banks can do, you're in a shitty place, because if Theresa May gets you up and says, right, fuck them all, tomorrow I'm pulling the plug, no more money, man alive, we would have trouble functioning. We'd have a few days, or week, or a month, but after that, the actual English might have to actually start using their brains again, and that would be really fucking dangerous. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that scenario? Theresa May says, right, that's it, no more. What would people do? How would people survive? Could they forage? Could they cook their own food? Could they provide their own energy? Could they provide their own shelter? We are, as a nation, we're not very self-sufficient anymore. And was we ever? That's the question, because we are a maritime nation. So our struggle's always been dealing and trading with the rest of the world. You know, the Cutty Sark is a great example of that. Cutty Sark, the tea clipper, used to go around all around the world, India, Ceylon, Pakistan, wherever, and picking up all the tea chests of tea. We used to use them to move home, big tea chests. So we are a maritime nation. But I think if we had actual people that used their brains, that were the philosophers, that were the people that had intelligence and that could harness energy from nature, and we all grew our own food, and we all taught each other to be respectful of one another and not be so wasteful, we wouldn't be in half this mess, guys. Trust me, we wouldn't.
Well, there is something at the moment. There is a battle going on at the moment. Now, a lot of people will say, don't be stupid, it's part of the government New World Order. And I'll say, yeah, okay, there's some good theories to prove that. There's also some good theories to prove the opposite. And you do have, and they're called cryptocurrencies. Right? A lot of people say, oh, Bitcoin and all that stitch up and all that. And I go, yeah, I've read the theories, both sides. But the actual idea of them, the actual grassroots idea of decentralized currency, it actually makes the idea of it, if it was ever to come about, which I don't really know, if you become your own bank, you don't need a bank.
That's right. That's right.
Now, I'm not promoting it, not knocking it, but the actual idea, if we're talking about idealisms, is a pretty good one. Whether it can be achieved or not, I don't know, but there's a big battle going on at the moment. From what I've read, it seems to me like there is a battle going on. Now, whether it's being promoted by the powers, well, they'd have to centralise it, Dave. It would have to be centralised, otherwise they'd never be able to control it. And the whole theory, the idea behind the blockchain decentralised currency is that you cannot control it. You cannot buy it. It doesn't exist. It doesn't have a company. It doesn't have a corporation. It doesn't have a CEO. It doesn't have it. So the idea I kind of like, right? And I entertained my thoughts because of that. But whether it's really that, I don't know. Whether it will become that, I don't know. But I kind of like the idea.
Well,
Yeah, I'm sort of same as you, Stav.
What's
Yeah.
happened is everyone's equity, our this land, our children, our homes, our cars, everything we've got in our life has a fiat currency value attached to it. Kids going into care, they're doing it for fiat currency generation of the fiat currency. They take it home, they sell it for this fiat currency. But I consider my property, if it is indeed mine and my missus' property, to be fee simple and absolute. I don't consider it to have a value attached to it, as in 500 grand, whatever. I'm not really interested in that. So we have to go and get away from that. But we're all it's this faith placed within something, and these bankers are very clever. They know the human mind is carnal. They know that you dangle a carrot in front of a carrot, it's going to chase that fucking carrot until it catches it. The Greeks, I use the Greeks as a fine example. They once used to worship the drachma. Now they worship the euro. The drachmas ain't worth nothing. They sit in bottles and jars and drawers, never to be used, never to be seen again. But once upon a time, them Greek people bowed down to the drachma, and then overnight, it was the euro. So these bankers are very, 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 very powerful. Very powerful indeed. Purely because of the mind control attached to it. But they're not there for the people. We know that the banks are not there for the people, because if they was, we wouldn't all be in this mess. And we've enslaved ourselves and everyone in Europe. That's why there's so much uproar at the moment, because there's scarcity coming and everyone's really feeling the pinch and all the badness that's going on. You know, we basically went out and rampaged the world years ago. There wasn't a part of the globe that we didn't go and have a go with. We got to Africa and we said to them, "You will speak English," and they was, and then we shot a few of them, and they went, "Oh, we speak English," because that's how we are. We're tyrannous bastards. So we instill into them, even the Welsh. You know, we used to beat the Welsh for speaking Welsh in school. We beat it out of them. The fucking English are a wicked bastard bunch of people. We would cane it until they stopped using it. But now we find ourselves in a situation where we've pretty much gone out and done what we've done, apart from these countries like Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, all that malarkey. So we've turned on our own people. That's what's happened. Because we've done so much around the world and we've kind of nicked all their resources, we've now turned on our own people. That's why these bailiffs are out of control. That's why the police turn up on a sixpence to help a bailiff out, because that copper's thinking, I've got no choice. I've got a £2,000 a month mortgage. I've got to put food on the table. I've got to pay my council tax. They're in the shit just as much as everyone else is. We have to change this mentality, and we have to change the system and level it up, square it up. And that will only come from clever people with wisdom and intelligence that make this happen, if it ever does happen. Briefly, I'm not sure.
With that, we have to wait for fascism.
Well, fascism, to be honest with you, fascism sounds rather lovely, darling. I might have some of that.
Maybe it's the way. Who knows?
Should we call ourselves the fascist party?
Fascist party.
Do we? Where we make sure our people come first. Oh, mate, if that's one of the requisites of fascism, fucking bring it on. Perhaps that geezer, the 82-year-old soldier, wouldn't have died today.
Mm-hmm.
He might not have died, mightn't he? If we was under fascism and it was uber people first,
Yeah.
corporations fall in line with the people, perhaps that 82-year-old war veteran wouldn't have died in a cold, dirty street today. It's fucking shameful. I mean, I remember watching Boris Johnson a couple of years ago. He was doing this TV interview. Shoreditch or somewhere like that, maybe the Barbican Centre in London. It was some big concrete fucking mess of whatever. And there was this couple of homeless geezers sat there, and Boris, he stepped over them. He stepped over them to carry on to get through. And I'm like, you're supposed to be looking after these people, Boris. You're supposed to be making sure no one goes on the street. That's what this everyone sticks in a pot to make sure everyone's comfortable. That's what that ideology and that ethos is. That's why we all agreed to do it, so that the disabled didn't go without, that the homeless didn't go without. But oh no, that's clearly not what it was set up for.
Yeah, but he's not even English, though.
I don't care what he is. He's in this country. He's in a position, isn't he? So
Yeah.
where's the vicarious liability?
But he's just.
Wait a minute. Even if he's not English, that's the good thing about fascism, is because it would have still looked after him anyway.
No, he's in the country, isn't he? I mean, I use the word fascist liberally because probably I don't understand. Jesse, I don't understand much about anything. I don't. I punch from the heart. I punch from what I see, and my words come as a reflection of that. And I'm certainly not proud of this country. I don't think anyone in this country can absolutely, if they're honest with each other, and say they can be, because of all what's going on: acid attacks, cars mounting pavements, people being blown up in big disco arenas. And how can you sleep at night and not worry about your children going to see, Justin Bieber at the weekend at the NEC or whatever? Everyone in this country now is thinking, for fuck's sake, please don't let it be my kid then. And mate, that's not a future of a good people in a good country, mate. That is not blossoming. No freedom in that. And this is all happened by design, guys.
Yeah, psychologically unsettling.
But the system's allowed it to happen. They've allowed the hate preaching. They've allowed people to come in the country that we don't know. I'm all up for immigration. Do you think I want my curry houses and my local Chinese shut up? Leave off. I value them as much as I value a white man. I'm not about that, but I'm about security, and I'm about saying, well, we don't know these people, and we are kicking the shit out of their countries. And if you think they're going to come here and be all la-di-da and au fait and love us, you're fucking mistaken. And that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
They want
it's not people, is it? We come back round to this idealism.
Idealism.
Oh, we've got the ISM out again.
Yes. Well, listen. Well, look. Let's take the idealism. Everybody's fucked everybody else throughout history. We're not the ones that have fucked everybody from the word go. If you talk about the Middle East and bombing the shit out of them and kill them and all of that, and that's what the West do. Yes, quite correct. But they had 1,400 years of doing the same to the West. Let's not forget that.
Fair enough.
So history is a good thing to swat up on, but it's not necessarily the answer. But also, idealism.
How would you describe a man in a uniform? He gets his piece of paper from his boss, from his skipper, and the skipper says, right, lad, you're going round the house, round there. This geezer ain't paid, he's fine. You're going around with a bailiff. You're going to kick his door down. You're going to use the red door key. You're going in there. You're going to take your stuff. You're going to whip him in the thingy. How would you describe that? Would you describe that as fascism? What would you describe that as?
God.
I would call that the gun law.
I'd call that somebody who thinks he's God.
Well,
it can be any of the ideas. It could be fascism. Whatever they want it to be, right? But it's twisted, remember? All these idealisms have been twisted by people who wanted to be ahead of them. If they want to be the head of this idealism, they want to be in control of their own agenda. And that's all it comes down to. And they'll twist. They'll put something out as the best curry you ever had, and while you're not looking, they'll stick something in that you don't know about, but you'll still eat it. You don't know. So which is what? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I think there is no solution to any of this. I don't think. I think the world's got to go back, and everything will go up in the air eventually, and then it'll settle, and then it'll whatever comes out of it. It's always been that. It's conquest after conquest by
Yeah.
White man on brown man, brown man on white man, yellow man on brown man. Yellow. It's taking history of it. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say these are worse than them and them worse than this worse than that, because at the end of the day, we're all bad on top of each other when it comes down to this. When you
can be. Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is, Dave. I'll leave that for the break.
I see this. Yeah, I see this. I do see the planet actually as a bit of a prison planet, where souls come to, I don't know, get taught lessons, or I don't know. I think if universally, I think this is probably one of the toughest planets to survive on. I think it's carnage. The kids now, they're born, all these vaccines in them. Autism isn't a condition, it's a reaction to a vaccine. Oh, my son's got autism. No, your son's been fucked by a vaccine. That's what's happened. Spina bifida, your son was fucked by a vaccine. I'm surprised we've survived it, Dennis. I'm surprised that humanity's still here, struggling on, and that's all we do. We survive. Humanity survives now. So many people I talk to, people in the police, people in the army, people out there in normal everyday jobs, they're just surviving. They're just getting enough to get by, and they're struggling on from month to month. It's like Groundhog Day. There's no saving. There's no future. They don't know what the fuck's coming next. And it's and on that basis, I think that is why we're going to see a change, because we don't like that, and we're seeing it now. And this is all happening from the puppeteers, the ones pulling the strings, the ones setting the taxes, the one setting out how much the bank's going to have and how much they can lend out and how much money. They've pulled this string since the beginning of the time, I guess. But if we want to live in better times, it's now the time for people, I think, in 2017 to stop talking about shit and actually get out there and do something about it. Because we might even be remembered as the generation that did a lot of talking but actually did nothing about it, did no action. I think the time for actions is coming soon. When I see the FLA, the 75,000 of them march down past me down Downing Street the other day, I was like, shit, this is going to happen, you know. This is going to happen. Because for that to have even happened, for all them fellas and women that come together to do that, I mean, the BBC were shit scared. They wouldn't come nowhere near it. They're like, oh, fucking hell, we can't report this. Bloody hell. Because, tell you why the BBC didn't report it, because if they had done, the next March, there would have been 1 million people there. Because we know how...
Is this the football lads you're talking about?
Mate, I couldn't believe it. I got emotional. Yeah. I was like, it was like being stuck on fucking Dunkirk Beach, being pinned down for 3 years, and all of a sudden you see the old cavalry arrive with the bully beef and the coffee on the beaches, and everyone's having a party. I was like, this is it. We're seeing a pivotal turn here now, where everyone's coming together with no violence. Can you imagine how hard that must have been to achieve, to get all them football lads together, all on the sauce, you know, but no fighting. No, and they were provoked. They were provoked 2 or 3 times. No violence.
And where was the national news coverage? I mean, there was shit.
They wouldn't cover it. The BBC officially said, "Oh, we was covering things elsewhere." So, and actually, incidentally, there was a geezer on the day had mounted a pavement round in trying to run someone over outside some train station or something. That was actually on the day. So I'm thinking, can everyone be safe, man? London's a lovely place to go, but you know, I grew up there. I am a Londoner, born and bred. But when I go out there now, I'm telling you, boys, I've got my wits about me, and I'm looking around all the time, thinking, Who's going to come and mount the fucking pavement? Who's got the acid pot in their pocket? You shouldn't have to. This country was never like this, guys. We are turning, and depravity is ruling the roost, isn't it? He's got his head up, depravity, and he's sticking up. Where's all the stuff about? What happened? Did we just forget about Westminster? Did the attacks at Westminster? They've just been brushed under the carpet. What's going on there? What have we learned from Westminster? What have we done about Westminster? What have we learned from Manchester? What have we done about Manchester? Yeah, we put men out on the street with machine guns. Fucking hell, what a move that was. But
well,
then
Dave, if you look at Westminster, and I even saw some for Manchester, you go on a place like Facebook, which I don't use really, but I only use it as a contact anyway, and then you'll see guys putting up false flag, crisis actors. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I do get that.
You know, you got people saying, "Oh, this didn't happen. It's all a false flag. It's all crisis actors. They're all doing this. It never happened." La la la. I'm not listening to what you're going to say. They say, "Well, I don't know the truth about anything." A lie, did they? I don't know nothing really.
No, exactly. We don't.
But
you know, Westminster, there was this old boy. Someone interviewed him. I don't know if it was LBC or someone, and they said to him, "What are you reckoning?" And he said, well, he says, it's really sad. Really sad. He said, but us as Londoners, he said, we've come to accept it. And I'm like, when I heard them words, I'm like, I wanted to kick him myself. I'm like, you what? What do you mean you've accepted it? The Mayor of London, Khan, says, oh, you best get used to terrorist attacks.
Yeah,
become part of normal life. Fucking hell, spell, excuse my French. I'm not having that. We can never be.
I mean, I wouldn't have that, but I do understand this point of it. Is you're not going to be able to ever end terrorism now. It's going to be something that we can only learn to understand and try and find some way of. I even got a word to fit into the sentence to make it, make sense. But somehow we've got to do something. But we're never going to get rid of it. You can't get rid. You're not going to get rid of that paranoia. People are always going to be paranoid, like Dave said. He's scared about acid attacks, people mounting curbs.
Yeah, but you shouldn't certainly condone it and welcome it in.
No, definitely not. But you do have to make a point.
If you put, let's say, for instance, let's create a scenario, hypothetical, before anyone comes around and arrests me and takes me down the cell and gives me an anal probe. Let's create a scenario. Let's say the people decided that 1 million of them wanted to go and rock up Parliament and take it over. And then amongst them, they said, right, we're just going to put some good people back in here now to do the right thing, which I can see maybe happening at some point in the near future. If they said, right, morals first, fuck the money, we get the money, we'll figure out a way of keeping this rolling on so people don't go without. Let's concentrate on the morality. Let's come down hard on the moral side of things, which I think is pretty much where Switzerland's at. Switzerland's got a very good moral compass. And we put life and property and respect back in first place. I think we'd clean this country up in next to no time, because everyone would be ringing up saying, so-and-so next to me is up to no good. Because I think people genuinely don't ring the system no more because they don't trust it, and they've got no faith in it. You know, all the time we've got coppers going out catching speeding motorists. What a fucking oxymoron that is. If a motorist kills someone, put him up in front of a jury. He's been a stupid boy. It's going to come down hard on him. But all they're interested in is revenue. The police, the courts, it's all money, 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 money. There's no morals in there. So if you change that ethos and said, right, well, the courts are actually only there to deal with moral issues now, and the police also are only there to deal with moral issues. Mate, this country would clean up in next to no time. Big time, quick. But it won't ever happen because of the greed. And it's the bankers, They're the ones sitting back and laughing at everyone. They're the ones don't give a fuck every time a girl, a young boy, a old boy dies, a woman gets bashed up in their own. They don't give a flying fuck, mate, as long as they're...
Well, if this cryptocurrency does start taking off and it is, you know, what it's making out to be, then they better start booking their ideas up because they've not got long.
I'll never forget that geezer. Well, I don't know. I mean, that geezer that he mined, didn't he? He mined a load of bits, and something happened, and his missus or someone threw his fucking laptop or his hard drive down a local tip, and by the time the bitcoins had gone up in their value, he'd had over £1 million worth on his hard drive, and he spent ages down there trying to find it. It's risky for me. It's risky for me. Let's talk money for a sec, because money is the thing that everyone's dangling on. Everyone in this country, bailiffs, police, bakers, plumbers, they're all out there trying to catch that penny. If we didn't have to worry about that so much, and everyone's right to a home was respected, and right to life was respected, and we all grew our own food and generated our own electricity, where would we need all these monetary items to come in? We would lessen the burden on ourselves. Truthfully, we would. And if we had a government that only issued money for its people, for the people to
But he can't just beat government though, Dave, because like Stav, how can I like cryptocurrency but hate a cashless society at the same time?
Well,
you could do.
How? He clearly tells you it's not just the government, is it?
Yeah, but if it's a cashless society that you own yourself, the cashless society is you, and you are in charge of the cashless society. How do you think about that?
Oh, I never really looked at it like that.
But that's the whole idea of it. Look, there's things on there. You don't have to put a single penny of your hard-earned fiat into it. You can promote cryptocurrencies. You could be part of it without having a penny in a wallet, right? By being part of it, of the idea. I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying, I'm answering your question. Now, if you have to look at some of the contracts, right, some of these cryptocurrencies are contracts. They're called smart contracts. They're completely transparent, open. And if you sign a smart contract, everybody takes you at your word of smart. There's no fraud in it. You cannot commit fraud in a decentralized smart contract.
Yeah, I get that, but that's like same. It's like taking lesser of two evils. Like, fair enough. There's not much cash in society anyway, so it's going to get to a point where it's cashless. So they're going to say to you, well, why don't you just take this cryptocurrency then? What we've brought out.
No, they haven't brought that. Right.
No, but they are going to be bringing it out.
That's a digital centralized currency. That's nothing to do with decentralized. See, the thing is, do you trust yourself?
They're not going to bring a decentralized currency out. They're not going to do it. They're not going to get rid of fiat currency.
You've got decentralized currency now. People use decentralized currency. How do you think all these millions of pounds are being sent all over the world instantly to Tom, Dick and Harry? Some of it really sussy, some of it really bad, some of it really good. But same as in society today, right? But they're using this, governments are using decentralized cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah.
But thing is, all of what they do with it is completely transparent. You can see everything. So if a fraudulent deal is committed, right, within 10 minutes, the whole blockchain is aware of it. Everybody on that blockchain is aware of that fraud. And it's an instant cut-off the fraudulent operator. So
all right, I've got another question.
I don't know whether that's the idea I got. I've listened to certain speeches by very clever people. Very clever. I don't know if they're part of the establishment or not. I ain't got a clue, but they're very, very clever people. So I don't know. The jury's out on it all, but I don't know whether it's the answer, whether something else. And then you've got the diehards who will only deal with intrinsic value, silver, gold, and that sort of thing. That's fine, provided you're not doing it through paper certificates. You've got to physically have it in your pocket. you've got to hold that physical wealth. Otherwise, not in your pocket, you ain't got it. So, therefore, a lot of people are looking like this decentralized currency being backed by a intrinsic value as well. That's something else that's going into
Well, that'd be lovely. That would be lovely, like a Bradbury pound. But what would you rather have, Bradbury pound or some sort of Bitcoin?
Either. At the end of the day, if it's to its word, if it's true and it's wholesome, and like Dave, certain things that fascism, if it's for the people, for the country, for the good of the country as well.
Mate, it's my new thing now. I think I am a I'm a full-on fascist.
I think I am.
I'm going to get my Freddie Stark collection out later, and I'm going to watch it. Back that with a bit of Chubby Brown to slip a few more jokes in, and I think that's my future.
Get back to a bit of Bernard Manning.
Bernard's a little bit naughty for the girls. They don't like him too much, mate. I just the English like a little bit of cash in there. They like to go in the pub. They like to go and buy a little bottle of Packner-Rabanne. They want to go and buy a pork pie. This is how we get on. We've got on like this for years. I don't think it needs to change. It just the burden needs to go. I mean, I never forget going up to Tom Crawford's, and when Tom, we all stood there and we was quite resilient, but we all knew that these people would come back and be opportunists with the weapons, with the men with weapons, and take it. But I've still got this memory in my head of seeing all Tom's family heirlooms, his kids' hair, the lockets to kids' hair, and that all just been thrown in a skip and that, and I'm just like, you bastards, how dare you defile his life like that, you scumbags. Mate, I was, and I think about that all the time, the way they just indiscriminately passed his life off as worthless and just threw all of his effects away so they could get someone else, some other mug with a mortgage, slam them in there. I'm just like, this has gone too far. Gone too far.
Well,
that haunts me, that one.
The mentality, this nation, or the world, perhaps, but maybe let's just stick to this nation. I want to call ourselves England a nation. But you've got to get rid of this pigs in a trough mentality.
Oh, and that big time. Oh yeah, we're a nation of sheep, driven by wolves, owned by pigs. What a great analogy! You can't sum it up any better than that, can you?
Perfect. Yeah.
And I would just love to see all these big fat pigs choke on a fucking bone and have heart attacks and piss off. Excuse my French. I'm that incensed by it all. And they know, they listen to me, they watch me. I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, I'm about the people. I want what's right for the people. And we will achieve it. We will achieve it. Trust me. We will take this country back. And when it happens, it will happen quick, fast. It will be peaceful. It will be lovely. It will set history. And then we might have 1,000 years of peace and love and good times, which we're well overdue. We are well overdue that.
Who knows? Maybe the ultimatum, without a choice, is that we all have to become fascists.
Mate, trust me, I'm getting the books on it now. I'm on eBay as we speak, looking up a book of fascism. I can't wait to get it in the post. I've got it special delivery. I might even grow one of them little tashes. I might, when I have a shave next, just leave that little bit in the middle and just give myself a real side parted Martin, and maybe get an armband or two. What do you reckon?
Well, perhaps the next video in the bath, you could sport it.
Yeah, I'd look good in there with my red cheeks. What about the thing is though? No, I do. When we look at the swastika, everyone's demonised against that, but that's an old Greek. That goes back. That's on the Egyptian temples. That's been used time after time in history.
Yes.
But yet they go, oh, it's a Nazis. I'm saying, you obviously don't understand what that symbol is. Hey, what's up?
It's Hindu, isn't it?
Pardon?
Is it not an Hindu symbol for peace?
I don't know.
Originally.
It's an original symbol on a lot of the original texts.
Mm.
And it got demonised by the man, but I think that it's us that demonised Adolf. I think we're all as bad as one another. I'll never forget watching that soldier he sat on the telly one day with his pocket and had a few tears in his eyes, and he said he was part of the troops that was on the other side of the river when Dresden got demolished and smashed. And he said, can't believe that we did what we did. He said, we were worse than them. And I'm like, yeah, mate, right, we were. We were horrible. We were horrible. And what we did after the war, what we did to all the German women and all the men, kin house bells. Savage. Savagery. We've always been savages. And you know what? Whenever this is the issue. I consider myself to be a loving individual. I consider myself to be worldly wise in as much as this planet is all of ours, share amongst ourselves, all get on and all be lovely, jubbly towards each other. Now, let me tell you now, any government building, any court, any police station I've ever been to, all I see is coldness and dark souls. So we have, it's just a battle between good and evil. And the good will prevail, and it is prevailing, and because there's some amazing things going on. And we will see a lot of the people on the dark side come over. They've got no choice but to come over. I've seen some real cold souls, you know, people that they're into ownership. These people truly believe that they own us. My mate today, I spoke to him, I was just doing the horses. And he said to me, he said, I got pulled over a couple of years ago, Dave. He said, and they nicked me for a misted windscreen. I went, he said, but they followed me for 3 miles. He said, he said, I was travelling all right, no problem. He said, they pulled me over. Next thing, I'm telling them that they're being stupid. He said, they took me down the cells. He said, they held me for 5 hours. He said, they roughed me right up. He said, they forcibly took my DNA and my blood and my fingerprints. He said, and I felt raped. He said, I've never felt so violated in all my life. He said, I felt less than a man. He said, when they plonked me up in front of this judge in this stupid court the next day, I said to the judge, you know what, Judge? What you people have done to me, I feel like I've been raped. And this judge didn't even bat an eyelid. Not one eyelid. Not one flicker in his eye. So that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with sociopaths. You're dealing with narcissism and otherism. You're dealing with people that just don't give a flying fuck.
Well, they're all dealing with fascism from now on.
Ownership. But it can't be fascism, because if fascism's all about building up the people, doing right by the people and making them feel good, doing all the right things, that cannot be fascism.
No.
I like the word because it gets results.
Hey Dave, there was you mentioned Dresden. There's an irony in that, what they've done to Dresden. Dresden is the capital of Saxony. English and England are Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah.
There's the irony. There's the irony. You know, we bombed and killed our own homeland, if you like. So, praise, isn't it?
Sav, I must be a flipping fascist. I've got a Rottweiler. I had 2. I must be a fascist. I had one stood either side of me. I must be one of the biggest fascists this world's ever seen. Oh, I feel terrible.
You never knew it. Same, yeah. I never knew it.
I never knew. I feel like I'm born again fascist. I feel like I've been enlightened tonight, and
that's what I said to you. When I found that article and I was reading it, I was stumped. I didn't know what to think, didn't know what to say. I thought, wait on a minute. All that time, I had this certain view and perception on what a fascist was, and it was me all along.
If you was a fascist and you had a uniform on, and I'm not talking Freddie Starr's uniform here, I'm talking one with a PC on it, like PC 1, 2, 3, 4 and all that. If you was to go out to work during the day and your gaffer says, here, PJ, a bit of a job on today. What's up, Gav? Well, we've got this so-and-so, I want you to go out and catch this geezer. So, all right, geez, I'm on it, Gav, you give me the order. So then you go and get this geezer, you take him down the cell, you rough him up, you make him pass out, you make him shit himself, you take his DNA, you take his prints, give him another dig in the ribs, you take his blood. How the fuck do you go home and sleep at night? How do you go home? Because we have to remember these people didn't land from a fucking foreign planet. They're homegrown, man.
Mm.
These coppers that are doing this shit and these they're homegrown.
Their excuse, Dave, is I'm only doing my job.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, but are they doing it? Are they doing it under duress? Has somebody forced them to take that job, or they choose to do
That's
it?
like me putting. That's like me putting in a. That's like me putting a gas boiler in dodgy, sitting on top of it and going up the fucking hills. I ain't doing my job.
Yeah.
Why did you bring that house down? So, well, I was only doing my job. But you've caused injury, harm, and loss. Yeah, but I was only doing my job. You can't do me for it.
But you do have to apply back, you know, when you were talking about world wars and people back then not really knowing ins and outs to it. You do have to sort of like comprehend a bit of that to understand.
I'll tell you something what's happened since the Second World War. People have got bigger. You want to see the size of them German flipping helmets from the Second World War? I'm not talking about the ones in their pants either. I'm talking about the ones on their heads. They're tiny, man. They would just about fit an 8 or 10-year-old today. And they're going. And I'm not talking about the kids when he sent the kids to war. I'm talking about all the way through. The Bosch helmets, mate, have you ever seen anything so small? They must have been freaking midgets. Oh, dear.
It's like the helmet on my head on the picture, though.
I wonder what you was going to say then, Stan. I thought, here we go. Freddie Starr's coming out in a minute. Mate, listen, there's no way, right, that I would ever wear a uniform. And my governor said, go and kick the shit out of him. I say, Gov, go fuck yourself. You go and do it. You go and give him a dig. Fucking look at me. Don't line me up for it. We tell you what we need. We need a few proper prosecutions on coppers and get them sent down. That will set a benchmark, and it will fire out something through the job, and they'll be going, oh, fuck that, we're going to have to wind our necks in. We haven't been vigilant. We've been letting these people get away with it. There was a kid or a lad, he was killed in Tunbridge police station about 2 months ago. Found dead in his cell. Oh, okay, yeah, cool. And I think there's evidence to suggest that he was... Fucking hell. Mate, you know, I love England. I love it so much. That's why I do what I do. I love the fire brigade. I love the NHS.
Yeah.
I do. I love all of it.
There is plenty of solutions if people want to pick them up, but they've got to keep going with them. I mean, grand juries.
I don't know. But then you rely on the process.
You won't get
you go and speak to somebody random on the street and ask them if they know what a grand jury is. They probably don't even know what it is.
No, they wouldn't know. No, they wouldn't know what a grand jury is.
It's like when Stav asked me, he goes, what do you think your culture is? And I struggled to answer him.
That was early on when I first met you, wasn't it?
Yeah, that were early on. Yeah, I struggled to answer him.
Yeah, but you always.
I had to think.
I think in this country, you'd have always had to have said that in this country because there's no one. Because we're an island and we're surrounded by water, we've had so many.
Yeah, but we know about everybody else's culture. We know about everybody else's culture, don't we? But we don't know about our own. It's sad.
We do and we don't. Do and we don't. We do and we don't.
Yeah. It depends how old you are.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It does depend on how old you are because culture evolves. It's not something that goes bam. It's a certain time.
And our culture ain't evolving in a very good way at the moment, is it?
No, that's right. It's evolving. All of the good parts of our English culture, right? And I mean, when did we stop being English? We can go back 1,000 years and say William the Conqueror stopped us from being English.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically when the rot set in. And who were they? They were continental. They were pretty much Vikings. A lot of people don't know that they were Vikings, really. But they were sanctioned by the idealism called Catholicism, by the Pope of Rome. They were financed by it. Look at it. that's when our culture, our English culture, changed drastically. It's 1,000 years ago, a long time ago. If you don't go and look at the history and look back to what all your culture entails to what you are an Englishman, if you are an Englishman or a Scotsman or a Welshman or an Irishman, go and check your culture. You'll find you'll have to go back.
You can't say that no more, Steph. You've got to either use your transgenderism or your lesbian.
That's just nonsense. Actually, that's actually hearsay. That's opinion. That's opinion.
Well, that's for another topic, another episode, maybe next week. I'll let it on Ed for tonight then. But cheers, guys, for coming on and sharing the how to be a fascist in 5 easy steps.